Welcome to a journey through one of humanity's most persistent and, for many, perplexing beliefs. The idea that our Earth is not a sphere, but a flat plane. This is Renegade Frequency. Please hit like and subscribe, thank you. For centuries, the notion of a flat Earth was the prevailing worldview, deeply intertwined with religious texts, philosophical interpretations, and the very limits of human observation. Yet, in an age of space travel, global communication, and ubiquitous scientific evidence, the flat Earth theory has not only survived, but has experienced a curious resurgence. This essay will explore the proponents of the flat Earth theory, tracing its historical roots from ancient cosmology and the biblical firmament to the modern-day arguments and communities that continue to champion this alternative view of our planet. We will delve into the observations and interpretations that, for believers, serve as compelling proof, offering a narration-friendly account of a perspective often dismissed but rarely understood from within its own framework. Part 1. Ancient Roots and the Biblical Firmament. To truly grasp the flat Earth theory, we must first step back in time, to an era when the cosmos was a far more intimate and less understood place. For much of human history, the Earth was perceived as flat, simply because it appeared flat. Our immediate sensory experience, the vast expanse of the horizon, the seemingly stationary ground beneath our feet, all pointed to a stable, level surface. It was a pragmatic and intuitive understanding of the world. This intuitive observation was often reinforced and elaborated upon by early religious and mythological frameworks. Perhaps one of the most influential and enduring of these is the concept of the biblical firmament. Found primarily in the Old Testament, particularly in the book of Genesis, the firmament describes a solid, dome-like structure separating the waters above from the waters below. In Genesis 1:6-8 we read, "And God said, Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven." This firmament, Hebrew rakia, is often interpreted as a solid, hammered-out dome, a celestial vault upon which the sun, moon, and stars were placed. It had windows or floodgates through which rain could fall, as described in the account of Noah's Ark. This cosmological model, with a flat Earth beneath a solid dome, resonated deeply with the worldview of ancient Near Eastern cultures. Mesopotamian cosmology, for example, often depicted the Earth as a flat disk floating on a cosmic ocean, enclosed by a solid heaven. Egyptian cosmology also featured a flat Earth, with the sky goddess Nut arching over it. For these ancient peoples, the firmament provided a coherent and divinely ordained structure for their world, explaining phenomena like rain, the movement of celestial bodies, and the very stability of existence. The Psalms often speak of God stretching out the heavens like a curtain or a tent, and Job describes the foundations of the earth, further reinforcing a stable, non-moving, and often flat foundation. These scriptures, interpreted literally, provided a strong theological basis for a geocentric, flat Earth model where humanity resided at the center of a divinely ordered, enclosed cosmos. For many centuries, and for some today, this literal interpretation of Scripture remains a cornerstone of their flat Earth belief. Part 2. The Spherical Shift and the Dark Ages Myth. While the flat Earth was the dominant view for millennia, the seeds of sphericity were sown much earlier than many realize. It's a common misconception, often perpetuated by popular culture, that the idea of a spherical Earth was a radical notion introduced during the Age of Exploration, and that medieval Europeans universally believed in a flat Earth. This is largely a myth. The ancient Greeks were among the first to propose and provide compelling evidence for a spherical Earth. As early as the 6th century BCE, Pythagoras is believed to have suggested a spherical Earth for aesthetic reasons. By the 4th century BCE, Aristotle presented several empirical arguments for Earth's sphericity. The shape of the Earth's shadow on the moon during a lunar eclipse. It was always round, regardless of the Earth's orientation. The changing appearance of constellations as one travels north or south. New stars appear on the horizon, and old ones disappear. Ships disappearing hull first over the horizon. This observation, familiar to anyone watching a ship sail away, was a clear indicator of a curved surface. Later, in the 3rd century BCE, Eratosthenes famously calculated the Earth's circumference with remarkable accuracy by measuring the angle of the sun's rays at 2 different locations. Other Greek and Roman scholars, including Plato, Euclid, and Ptolemy, all accepted and built upon the spherical model. Crucially, this knowledge was not lost during the Middle Ages. While the Roman Empire declined, the works of Greek scholars were preserved and studied by Islamic scholars, and later by European monks and intellectuals. Figures like Bede, Thomas Aquinas, and Roger Bacon, prominent thinkers of the medieval period, all explicitly discussed and accepted the Earth's sphericity. The Dark Ages were not an era of universal flat Earth belief. Rather, the spherical model was the standard academic view among educated elites. Columbus, for instance, was not trying to prove the Earth was round. He was arguing about its size and the feasibility of sailing west to Asia. The myth of medieval flat earthers largely gained traction in the 19th century, propagated by figures like Washington Irving in his romanticized biography of Columbus, and later by proponents of the conflict thesis between science and religion. This historical misrepresentation inadvertently set the stage for the modern flat Earth revival, creating a narrative of a suppressed truth waiting to be rediscovered. Part 3. The Modern Flat Earth Revival, 19th century onwards. The true modern flat Earth movement can be traced back to the mid-19th century, a period of burgeoning scientific discovery but also of skepticism and counter-movements. The key figure in this revival was Samuel Rowbotham, an English inventor and writer who, under the pseudonym Parallax, developed a system he called zetetic astronomy. Rowbotham's work was based on empirical observations and experiments which he claimed disproved the accepted heliocentric spherical model of the Earth. His most famous experiment was the Bedford Level experiment, conducted on a 6-mile stretch of the Old Bedford River in Norfolk. This river was chosen because it was a long, straight, and still waterway, seemingly ideal for observing Earth's curvature. Rowbotham placed flags of equal height along the river, and using a telescope, claimed that he could see all the flags at the same height, implying a flat surface, contrary to the expected curvature over 6 miles. He published his findings in a pamphlet, Zetetic Astronomy, Earth Not a Globe, in 1865, later expanding it into a book. His method, zetetic, derived from the Greek word zeteo, to search or inquire, emphasized direct observation and practical experimentation over theoretical scientific models. Rowbotham's work gained a following, attracting individuals who felt that mainstream science was either misleading or too complex to be truly understood. His arguments appealed to a sense of common sense and direct experience. After his death, his ideas were continued by followers, most notably John Hampden, who famously challenged Alfred Russel Wallace, a co-discoverer of natural selection, to a wager over the Bedford Level experiment. Wallace, using more precise measurements and understanding of atmospheric refraction, demonstrated the curvature, but Hampden refused to accept the results, leading to a protracted and public dispute. In the early 20th century, the Flat Earth movement continued in various forms, often intertwined with religious fundamentalism. The Flat Earth Society, founded in 1956 by Samuel Shenton, played a significant role in keeping the idea alive. Shenton, an Englishman, initially struggled to gain members, but found renewed interest during the space race, when images of a spherical Earth from space became widely publicized. Ironically, these very images, which seemingly offered irrefutable proof of sphericity, were dismissed by Shenton and his followers as hoaxes or elaborate deceptions. After Shenton's death, the presidency of the Flat Earth Society passed to Charles K. Johnson in California, who continued to promote the belief until his death in 2001. In the 21st century, the Flat Earth movement has experienced an unprecedented revival, largely fueled by the internet and social media. Online communities, YouTube channels, and dedicated websites have allowed proponents to connect, share their evidence, and disseminate their theories to a global audience, bypassing traditional media gatekeepers. This digital resurgence has given rise to new arguments, new proofs, and a diverse array of individuals who, for various reasons, have come to believe that the Earth is indeed flat. Part 4. Core modern flat Earth models and proofs. Modern flat Earth proponents do not adhere to a single monolithic theory, but several core models and a collection of recurring proofs and arguments. The most prevalent model is the ice wall or UN map model. In this model, the Earth is a flat disk with the North Pole at its center. Antarctica, rather than being a continent at the bottom of a globe, is depicted as a massive, towering ice wall that encircles the entire disk, holding the oceans in. This ice wall is often seen as the boundary of our known world, beyond which lies unknown territory or simply more ice. The logo of the United Nations, which depicts a map of the world centered on the North Pole and surrounded by olive branches, is frequently cited by flat earthers as a subtle, public acknowledgement of the true Earth shape. The sun and moon in this model are not distant, massive celestial bodies, but are instead small, local objects that orbit above the flat Earth. They are often depicted as spotlights, illuminating different sections of the disk as they move, explaining the progression of day and night. This local sun and moon model also attempts to explain phases of the moon and eclipses, though the explanations often become complex and require specific, unproven mechanisms. Stars are typically seen as even smaller, more distant lights, perhaps embedded in the firmament or within a localized celestial sphere. One of the most fundamental challenges to a spherical Earth is the concept of gravity. Flat earthers generally reject the idea of gravity as a force that pulls objects towards the center of a mass. Instead, they propose alternative explanations. Density and buoyancy. Objects fall because they are denser than the air around them, and they rise if they are less dense, buoyant. This is a core tenet, often summarized as, things don't fall, they just go down. Constant upward acceleration. Some flat earthers propose that the entire flat disk is constantly accelerating upwards at 9.8 meters per second squared, mimicking the effect of gravity. This requires an unexplained force driving this acceleration. Beyond these core models, modern proponents present a battery of observations and experiments that, to them, definitively prove the Earth is flat. Lack of observable curvature. The horizon always rises to eye level. A common argument is that no matter how high one ascends, e.g. in a hot air balloon or plane, the horizon always appears to rise to eye level, rather than dropping away as it would on a sphere. Proponents argue that if the Earth were a sphere, the horizon should drop as one gains altitude. Visibility of distant objects. Flat earthers frequently point to instances where distant objects, e.g. city skylines, lighthouses, oil rigs, are visible far beyond the calculated curvature drop for a spherical Earth. They attribute this to the Earth being flat, while mainstream science explains these phenomena through atmospheric refraction, which bends light rays and can make distant objects appear higher than they actually are. Water always finds its level. This is a powerful intuitive argument. Water, they contend, always remains flat and level. Since oceans cover 70% of the Earth, and they appear flat, the Earth itself must be flat. The concept of oceans curving around a sphere is seen as illogical. No sensation of motion. If the Earth were spinning at over 1,000 miles per hour at the equator and orbiting the Sun at 67,000 miles per hour, flat earthers argue, we should feel this motion. There should be a constant wind, and objects dropped from a height should land far away from their drop point due to the Earth's rotation. The lack of these sensations is presented as proof of a stationary Earth. Flight paths and navigation. Straight-line flights. Proponents argue that long-haul flights, particularly those in the southern hemisphere, do not make sense on a spherical Earth but are perfectly logical on a flat Earth map. For example, flights between South America and Australia or South Africa and Australia are often cited as taking routes that appear circuitous on a globe but are straight lines on a flat Earth map. Pilot testimony. Some flat earthers claim to have heard pilots or navigators admit that they navigate using a flat map, or that the Earth is indeed flat. These claims are anecdotal and not supported by official aviation procedures. The sun's rays. Crepuscular rays. The visible rays of sunlight streaming through clouds, crepuscular rays, are often cited. Flat earthers argue that these rays appear to diverge from a single point, consistent with a close, local sun, rather than appearing parallel as they would from a distant sun illuminating a curved Earth. The moon landing and space hoaxes. A significant component of modern flat Earth belief is the conviction that all images and videos from space, including the moon landings, satellite imagery, and footage of astronauts, are elaborate hoaxes perpetrated by governments and space agencies like NASA. They argue that these agencies are part of a grand deception to conceal the true nature of the Earth. This conspiracy theory aspect often underpins the entire belief system, explaining away any contradictory evidence as fabricated. Atmospheric lensing, refraction. While mainstream science uses atmospheric refraction to explain some anomalies in distant observations, flat earthers often turn this concept on its head. They argue that refraction is so powerful and pervasive that it can create the illusion of curvature, or make distant objects appear to disappear over a non-existent curve, thus explaining away any observations that do seem to suggest sphericity. The Antarctic Treaty. The Antarctic Treaty System, which designates Antarctica as a scientific preserve and prohibits military activity, is interpreted by some flat earthers as a global conspiracy to prevent anyone from exploring beyond the ice wall and discovering the true edge of the world. Part 5. The Appeal and the Community. The enduring appeal of the flat Earth theory, particularly in the digital age, is multifaceted. For many, it's a rebellion against perceived authority and a distrust of mainstream institutions, including science, government, and media. In a world that often feels complex and controlled, the flat Earth theory offers a simpler, more intuitive explanation of reality, one that can be grasped through direct observation and common sense. The emphasis on zetetic inquiry, personal observation, and experimentation empowers individuals to feel they can discover truth for themselves, rather than relying on expert testimony. This can be particularly appealing to those who feel marginalized or disempowered by traditional educational or scientific systems. Furthermore, the flat Earth community offers a strong sense of belonging and shared purpose. Online forums, social media groups, and even real-world conventions provide spaces for like-minded individuals to connect, reinforce each other's beliefs, and collectively interpret the world through a flat Earth lens. This sense of community and validation can be a powerful draw, especially for those who feel isolated in their skepticism of mainstream narratives. The conspiracy theory element also plays a significant role. The idea that a powerful global elite is actively deceiving humanity about the shape of our planet can be both terrifying and strangely exhilarating. It provides a framework for understanding why evidence for a spherical Earth is so pervasive, because it's all part of the lie. This narrative can offer a sense of special knowledge or enlightenment, distinguishing believers from the sheeple who accept the mainstream view. Conclusion. The flat Earth theory, far from being a relic of a bygone era, continues to captivate a segment of the population in the 21st century. From its ancient roots in intuitive observation and the theological framework of the Biblical Firmament to its modern resurgence, fueled by figures like Samuel Rowbotham and amplified by the internet, the belief in a flat Earth is a testament to the complex interplay of human perception, belief systems, and the search for truth. For its proponents, the arguments are compelling. The seemingly flat horizon, the apparent lack of curvature over vast distances, the intuitive sense that water must lie level, and the deep-seated distrust of institutions that present a different reality. While these arguments are systematically addressed and explained by mainstream science through concepts like atmospheric refraction, perspective, and the laws of physics, for the flat Earth believer, these scientific explanations often fall short, dismissed as part of the very deception they seek to expose. Ultimately, the flat Earth theory serves as a fascinating case study in how individuals construct their understanding of the world, how communities form around alternative narratives, and how deeply ingrained beliefs can persist even in the face of overwhelming scientific consensus. It reminds us that for some, the Earth is not merely a sphere hurtling through space, but a flat, stable plane, perhaps covered by a firmament, and certainly a subject of endless debate and wonder. Thank you for watching. Please hit like and subscribe and have a good day.